Casey, and I'm a member of Charlottetown, to address the House for not more than 5 minutes.
Monsieur le Président, je tiens tout d'abord à souligner.
Mr. Speaker, I would first like to acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin people who have lived here for millennia. We acknowledge the lasting presence of Indigenous peoples, First Nations, Inuit, and Métis on this territory.
Parliament and the Office of the Speaker have declined at an accelerating pace over the last decade. From 2003 to 2017, not a single member of Parliament was asked to withdraw for disregarding the authority of the Speaker. Compare that to the last 8 years, where 9 members have been kicked out of the chamber for violating the rules of debate, refusing to withdraw in parliamentary language, failing to apologize for their conduct, and defying the Speaker. I have witnessed almost all of these incidents, and frankly, there should have been more expulsions. What's worse is that this lack of respect for Parliament has actually been used as ammunition to raise funds. Sadly, this demonstrates the current state of decorum. It is not okay. That, Mr. Speaker, is why I stand before you to offer my candidacy for the office of Speaker. And I do so with some degree of optimism. Seuls les députés peuvent restaurer le respect.
Only members of Parliament can restore and rebuild trust in our institutions. About 1/3 of members here are new to the House. I don't think any of them campaigned on a promise to shout the most in the House or promising to insult other members of Parliament, and especially not to insult the Speaker, him or herself. They were elected because they promised to represent their constituents here with dignity and hard work, and to focus on constituents rather than on their next Instagram video. We members of Parliament have a significant role to play in restoring trust in this House and in the Speakership.
Members in wanting a reset. After thousands of interactions with constituents during the course of the campaign, I can't imagine that anyone held up the current state of civility in Parliament with pride. We owe Canadians a genuine effort to raise the bar in how we treat each other. A new session with so many new faces offers a fresh start and a real chance to lead by example. If you agree that the conditions and the timing are right to make a meaningful change, then I offer my experience and approach to lead that reset. Avant d'entrer en politique, j'étais avocat.
Before I got into politics, I was a lawyer and a business person. I had to respect the administration of justice and the law. I had to respect the opposing bench. I also had to vigorously defend my client. Those were part and parcel of my duties as a lawyer. I had to follow rules of procedure, which was essential to be efficient. That allowed me to build values of equity, structure, and impartiality, which are qualities essential to being Speaker. I was elected to Parliament for the first time in 2011. I was one of just a few new members in the party. I was re-elected in 2015 and appointed parliamentary secretary to 3 different ministers. More recently, I presided over a standing committee. At age 48, I committed to becoming bilingual and achieved a C level. I'm very proud of that accomplishment.
I've served with 4 different speakers and have learned what works and what doesn't. First, it is vitally important for the Speaker to set the tone early and rigorously. A collegial approach, cajoling repeat offenders, has proven ineffective. The current state of debate requires the consistent application of progressive discipline. I offer the experience, the tone, and the temperament to deliver exactly that. I would be honored with your support to lead a collective effort to rebuild respect in Parliament. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I now ask Mr. Greg Fergus, the Honourable Member for Hull Aylmer, to address the House for not more than 5 minutes.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I'd like to recognise that we are on the unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people. Since time immemorial, Indigenous peoples have met here to exchange, to share and to collaborate. That is what Canadians expect from us here in the House of Commons. Today, a similar spirit assembles us. Some of us for the first time, some since 1984. I was elected Speaker in the second half of a minority parliament. When I was elected, I promised to be a collaborative and well-thought Speaker, a Speaker that would serve all parliamentarians.
Tempers ran high and cooperation was low. It was in that context that I learned the ropes of the job, often getting it right, and when I didn't, putting in place measures to continually improve. To be frank, it would have been a difficult time for anyone in that role. We find ourselves in a new minority parliament. A new parliament is a new beginning, but we don't have to start at the beginning. Although I continue to stand by my values for mutual respect between members, the business of Parliament must get done. With transparency, with integrity, with accountability, and without gamesmanship. This is what Canadians expect from us. At my first question period, I asked you to treat me like a new car. Try not to get a dent on me on the first day. Well, I got one day. There are now a couple of dents, but I'm still running. I'm now a reliable car with experience. And that's how I learned what all speakers eventually discover. You don't become speaker by just putting on the robes. You learn the role through experience. Les habits ne fait pas le président.
It's not just the gown that makes you Speaker. You become a Speaker with experience. That experience I've already obtained, and now I want to implement it for this 45th legislature. Presiding over debates in this House is the most visible part of the role. However, the Speaker also has a very important diplomatic role to play.
Canada needs friendships around the world. From the early days of my speakership, I insisted that Canada show our solidarity with Ukraine, and I'm proud to have organized an all-party parliamentary mission to Ukraine. During the long train ride into Ukraine under the cover of darkness, with the protection of the Canadian Armed Forces, seated with my colleagues from the Conservatives, the Bloc, the NDP, and the Liberals, working together, we developed lasting friendships with Ukrainians and strengthened their network of support in their time of need. This is another example of Parliament at its best. Plus que jamais.
More than ever, Canada needs strong friendships everywhere. Throughout the world, I have forged strong ties of friendship to put forward our Parliament's interests. This experience will serve for the success of the Speakers' G7 meeting that will happen later this summer. Another role of the Speaker happens here. As the CEO of about 2,500 members of staff, I support the services that support your rights and privileges as parliamentarians.
money was well spent. We took steps never taken before. We started a new audit process. We implemented robust new security measures in and around Parliament Hill, in your constituencies, at your offices, and at your home. And we did this so that you and your family can feel safe while you do your job. C'est riche de cette expérience.
It's with this wealth of experience that I ask for your support for my re-election. I gained the experience necessary to implement changes that are essential starting today.
Dense, but it also has character. The engine is strong, and I know the road. Allons-y, let's go together. Merci beaucoup.
Okay, so Speaker Fergus. Fergus was a previous speaker. So as obviously, if you're listening, I guess I got to do some updating on this. But it's the next one we have Alexandra. She was also a speaker. Robert Oliphant. He's a liberal. Sherry Romanando. And Francis Scarpaleggia. Scarpaleggia. So that's basically these things. Sean Casey was basically saying that he's going to kick people out. He's going to create decorum that wasn't there. Yeah, I don't think Fergus is going to get it because Fergus doesn't have the support of the Conservatives. I don't think because of these he did a couple things that were bipartisan, and it's supposed to be bipartisan events. Like he did some photos when he was wearing his robes, and so it's very minor things, to be honest. But they made quite a bit of hay about it, and maybe they're bigger than what I believe them to be. But he did some bipartisan stuff. Conservatives made some hay about it. Raise the mic.
I will now call upon Mr. Robert.
I will now call upon Mrs. Alexandra Mendez, the Honourable Member for Brossard-Saint-Lambert, to address the House for not more than 5 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chers collègues, dear colleagues, I rise today to let my name stand to be your speaker. I will try to be brief and to the point. Unlike other colleagues, I did not spend the last few days on emails or phone calls asking for your support. Mostly because, as you may know, some of you may know anyways, I was diagnosed with cancer at the end of January, and I have been undergoing intense treatment ever since. Thanks to a phenomenal team and the many volunteers who raised their hand to help me through the campaign, I find myself representing the citizens of Brossard St. Lambert once more, and I couldn't be more grateful. After a successful re-election, I wanted to ensure my health situation would allow me to stand for this role. I spent many hours reflecting on my next steps, both from a personal and professional level. I do wish to take this moment to thank many of you in this chamber who sent me messages of encouragement in the past weeks and months. From text messages to phone calls and emails, your heartfelt words meant a great deal to me during these challenging times. La vie sans équivoque.
The unequivocal advice from my oncologist has led me to believe that I can safely consider serving you as speaker. I have the experience of 5 years as assistant vice speaker, have taught me indeed what it takes to ensure an environment of respectful debate of ideas and adherence to our standing orders as agreed upon over the course of legislatures. I'm not here in opposition to anyone. I'm here because I have some convictions that I believe will provide another way of approaching the responsibilities we all have as parliamentarians.
I have never been a parliamentary secretary, nor a minister, nor held any government role. I have been a privileged backbencher, but a backbencher nonetheless. Nous sommes 334 personnes sur...
We are 343 out of 40 million Canadians that were chosen to legislate their present and more than ever their future.
Responsibilities include and depend on the constant quest for fruitfulness and the common good. I also believe that one of our responsibilities is to find joy in the work we do. Loving what we do, this place where we do it, and the people that help us do it are for me fundamental aspects of a successful parliamentary life. It can't and it shouldn't be all about insults and accusations, about gotcha moments and questionable statements. This is the place where Canada's most important conversations should be held, where we seriously debate and humorously disagree.
The ability to find the right word is an art that I admire, and that so many of you, dear colleagues, use with great brio. Combined with the respect for others and the most basic standards of politeness, this oratory art is exactly what our debates should always be like.
Holding the government to account is the essential element of parliamentary democracy. No government is immune from the necessary scrutiny of its proposed legislation and its management of the public accounts. But Canadians have told us time and time again that they expect us to do this with far more civility than they see in this place most days. Should I be given the honor of being elected to the chair, I would strive with all my might to bring dignity to our debates. I believe in the rules and regulations that govern the House of Commons. I believe in the office of the Speaker that oversees the functioning and administration of this place. I trust the clerk and the table officers who guide us and provide us with their knowledge and their independent analysis.
Dignity is a principle very close to my heart. No one in this House, parliamentarian or not, should have their humanity violated. The most elementary thanks to the pages who bring us a glass of water or a lectern, respectful awareness of the monumental work done by the interpreters,
and honor.
Finally, dear colleagues, I offer you the argument of the century, or the 21st century. Is it not elected Speaker of the Canadian House of Commons? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I will now call upon Mr. To Robert Oliphant, to the honourable member from Down Valley West.
Merci.
Thank you, Dean, for having presided over us with your classic sense of humour. I think that you have a great career ahead of you. I would like to commend, first of all, everyone for their re-election, or their election.
I was first elected and walked into the chamber, then in centre block. It was in 2008. I'm a minister of the United Church of Canada, so neo-Gothic buildings and stained glass and ceremony were hardly new. But I was still overwhelmed to be in the Parliament of Canada, with honourable colleagues from all parties doing our best to live up to the lofty expectations of those who sent us here. I still feel that sense of awe. But after 17 years, it has dimmed and become more difficult and sometimes even painful to be in here. Dignity has diminished and decorum has declined. Respect for one another and for this institution are woefully lacking. Canadians have noticed. This was confirmed to me at the many doors I knocked on recently, and I suspect that everyone in this room has had that experience the same way. Canadians are watching. Cela dit, sachant...
That being said, knowing that the task before us is colossal, with great humility and some concern, I've decided to be a candidate to become your speaker.
Was the Honourable Peter Milliken. I did not know he would be in the gallery today, who for me embodied what it... what it means to be a parliamentarian. I was in opposition, and in a moment of passion, I once went a little too far with a comment. Speaker Milliken rose. He dropped his head, he raised his eyebrow, and he asked me to withdraw the comment. I'm a politician. I love debate. I love spice in this House. But I felt at that moment I had disappointed the Speaker. I had disappointed him, and I withdrew the remark. I did not want to let down my colleagues or this House or the people who had sent me here to represent them. The raising of an eyebrow. I say this because the Speaker's authority, the ability to provide leadership, to maintain order, to protect members' rights and privileges, to have credibility inside and outside this House, comes from members having trust and respect in not only the office of the Speaker, but in the Speaker herself or himself. Il faut plus qu'une apparence d'impartialité.
We need to go beyond an appearance of impartiality. We have to be impartial. We have to listen to both sides of the House. We have to have taken part in a number of roles. Irrespective of our party or our position, finally, this authority is not simply given to us because we understand parliamentary privilege, but because we protect it every single day.
Of course, rooted in competence, credentials, and character, but it's more than that. It comes from being calm in the midst of chaos, dispassionate in the heat of debate. It comes from humility, accountability, empathy. It comes from having a sense of humor that cuts through pretense and posturing and calms the moment.
It's not given us just because we respect both official languages, but because we live in both languages every day. My partner, over the last few years, my partner is
I believe I can do all three of these key roles. In my role as an other kind of minister, I led congregations across Canada, leading people in good times and bad, breaking down barriers that divided people, and attempting to lead them in common purpose. People have often asked, what's the difference between being an MP and clergy? I pray more now. But I don't want to pray. I want to do something about it. I would like to be your speaker. I'd like to be the custodian of the chair that belongs to you.
Okay, is this one now working?
Thank you.
Is this working now? I think I got it now. And I think he has a pretty good speech. All right, we got something. Roboto.
Very much for your support. Given that you referred to my career, when I was elected in 1984, there were no cell phones, there was no internet, and there was no fax. It was paradise. It was great. I will now call upon Mrs. Sherry Romanado, the Honourable Member for Longueuil-Charles-le-Moine, to address the House for not more than 5 minutes. Mr. Speaker, it's with humor.
Okay, so this is how we have here. I do have some sound. A mess of a voice. Basically, the power got shut off. And I'll figure this one out. At least I got something. So, Francois, so this is Sherry Romanado. I think Robert Oliphant is most likely going to be the winner of this one, to be honest.
Humility and a lot of respect that I stand today as candidate to the Speakership of the House of Commons. To members who are back, welcome back. It's great to see so many familiar faces. To new MPs, welcome. Every single one of us have won the trust and gained the trust of our constituents so that we can respect their views. Irrespective of our region, our party, or our point of view, we are united in our duty of serving democracy with integrity. We must also defend its institutions. It's no easy feat to be Speaker of this House where these diverse voices assemble, sometimes as a cacophony, but always with passion. The Speaker has a solemn responsibility, that is to preserve the dignity of Parliament, to guarantee the equity of debate, and, what might be the most difficult, make sure that 343 very intelligent people with very different opinions respect more or less the calendar of Parliament. The Speaker is not partisan. It is fundamentally based on principles, with equity and a staunch defence of everyone's privilege. If I get the trust of this House, I will treat everyone with respect and impartiality, knowing that democracy does not develop when we all agree, but when we...
Okay, so I think maybe this will be it. We're going to see... She has a pretty good speech, and the last speaker will be... Nope, I don't got it.
We all hear and listen to one another.
Parliamentary experience as parliamentary secretary, deputy leader of the government, chair of the Standing Committee on Industry, Science and Technology, and probably the only member who actually asked to sit on the Procedure and House Affairs Committee. As a fellow elected representative, I understand the demands of public service and the pressures we all face. But I also believe that impassioned debate and decorum are not mutually exclusive. The Speaker fulfills several key responsibilities: presiding over debates and ensuring the enforcement of rules and the preservation of order and decorum, acting as Chief Administrative Officer of the House, and representing the House in its external relations. Of these, the one I've heard the most about in my conversations over the past weeks is the preservation of decorum. On this, let me be very clear. I will be fair, firm, and consistent. The standing orders in the House of Commons procedure and practice offer a solid framework to guide our work. And with nearly a third of members joining the House for the first time, it is especially important that the Speaker provide guidance, clarity, and support. Expectations must be clearly communicated, and when rules are not followed, corrective action must be taken. In this regard, I've demonstrated my ability to lead impartially and keep order as the chair of the Anew Committee. My two sons will attest to my near obsession with rules and order. In fact, they both voluntarily enrolled in the Canadian Armed Forces at age 16, believing that even the military was bound to have fewer rules than at home. But above and beyond rules, the tone and culture of this place matter. In these times of uncertainty, when trust in institutions is being tested, we must renew our commitment to civility, transparency, and respectful dialogue. Canadians are watching us, especially young Canadians. Our children and grandchildren are paying attention to how we speak to one another, how we handle disagreement, and how we uphold the principles of democracy. Let us give them something to be proud of. Je crois également en
I believe in a modern, accessible parliament as well, one that adopts new technologies, reflects Canadians' realities, and includes both tradition and innovation. Parliament needs to change to adapt to the present moment, while also maintaining its foundations that have been serving us for generations.
I do not see the role of Speaker as a one-way street. It must be one that encourages a constant flow of ideas, viewpoints, and suggestions on how we can make this institution stronger, and how we can make it work better for all members, and ultimately for the people we are all here to serve. This is, after all, their house. Ma vision est celle d'un parlement qui reflète le...
I have a vision of a parliament that reflects the best values that we have as Canadians, the best of what we are as Canadians and of what we defend as parliamentarians. If I have the honor of being elected as Speaker, I will fully commit to this mission with equity, consistency, and fairness. Thank you very much.
I will now call upon Mr. Francis Scapariccia, the Honourable Member of Lac-Saint-Louis.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I would also like to mention that today we are gathered on the unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people. A little over 20 years ago, I was seated in this house for the first time. In the farthest back row.
20 years ago, It was a proud moment, which is why I would like to offer a special congratulations to all newly elected members who are taking their seats for the first time today. Whether we are in the first rows or the last row, like the old Montreal Forum, there are no bad seats in this arena. Nous sommes tous égaux ici. Nous avons tous partagé le même parcours.
We are all equal here. We have all done the same thing.
Have all traveled the same road and faced challenges and come up against obstacles on the way to earning the honor and privilege of being the voices of our constituents in this Parliament. Canada's greatest asset is its democracy, and democracy lives and breathes here in this chamber. La démocratie ne s'arrête pas au jour du scrutin.
Democracy doesn't just stop on the day of the vote. Democracy is constantly evolving, and it lives in this chamber. And ultimately, it is the quality of our democracy that represents the strength of our country, the strength of our nations, communities, provinces, and regions that together form our Canadian society.
It is rightly said that there can be no true freedom without order. Likewise, we can't have a truly meaningful exchange of ideas without an orderly, rules-based House of Commons. Now, there's nothing wrong with a clean, even board-rattling, polemical body check in the corners. I've been at the receiving end of a few. Robust debate is fundamental to a robust democracy, and a robust democracy is what makes for a resilient nation. The problem is when sticks go high. Canadians want to see sticks. Canadians want to see, though the elbows are for others, not for us. Canadians want to see sticks on the ice. And it's
sticks on the ice. Yeah, it is what it is. It's always going on. They said my 3 hours of speech were doing it. I guess I'm using my far mic because the one I'm speaking into is not recognized. Yeah, so yeah, it's I have to be on the camera all the time from now on, just like a lot of channels, so I can do reactions and stuff. I personally don't want it to be about me, but this is what YouTube is. I believe is getting pushed to do.
It's the responsibility of the Speaker to make this so. Colleagues, I'm an optimist. I believe it possible to skillfully and convincingly dissect and refute an argument without recourse to personal invective or intimidation. I have seen all colleagues from all parties achieve this standard. Over 20 years of parliamentary experience has prepared me for the challenge of finding the right balance between respect and order on the one hand, and vigorous debate that clarifies the issues on the other. J'ai fait le tour, collègues. En 20 ans.
Colleagues, I've had a great deal of experience in different roles. Over the last 20 years, I've been on both sides of the House, 10 years in opposition, including at a time when the future of my party seemed uncertain, and 10 years in total on the government side. I know both sides of the coin, and I'm very aware of the needs of colleagues on both sides of the House. We need to remember that the Speaker is also an administrator, leading operations and services on the Hill. After my 20 years of experience, I have a deep knowledge of all aspects of the administrative apparatus of the Hill and of its regulations.
Colleagues, we have a duty to Canadians and to ourselves, a duty to cultivate our parliamentary democracy in an increasingly turbulent world where many argue that democracy is just too inefficient and time-consuming. Canada has always been about values. It was the will to affirm a distinct set of values on the upper half of the North American continent that led to the creation, against all odds, of this confederation of founding peoples and nations and diverse and proud regions. Our neighbor to the south may be modern-day Rome in size and power. We are Athens in culture, values, and democracy. That is how we must see ourselves. That is who we must be. Thank you, folks.
Before I suspend the sitting for 30 minutes, permettez-moi de dire
I don't know if this is going to work. Duty to stoplight. That's a parliamentarians. They're supposed to respectfully mislead. I guess it keeps picking up. I guess it's picking up the microphone. So we got the echo. Respectfully mislead. I guess it keeps picking up. I guess. Basically, they have a few minutes. They pause.
I would just like to say,
so they can deliberate amongst each other. All of this stuff. They have a few minutes. They pause.
I would just like to say,
and just about live now, so they can deliberate amongst each other. Here they're deliberating now amongst each other, seeing who they're going to vote for. I think it's going to be Oliphant. It's going to be the winner. We're about a minute behind live right now. That down. Who do you think? Leave your comment on the side. Oh, there's someone there.
next to your first choice candidate, number 2, next to your second choice candidate, and so on until you have ranked all candidates for whom you wish to vote. Please note that it's not necessary to rank all candidates. Vous pouvez voter à un seul candidat.
You can vote only for one candidate if you want.
Pour aller voter.
In order to vote, I will ask that members leave their desk, exit through the curtains, and come to the table using the doors on the left and the right.
Okay, we're live right now. I'm going to have to pull up my third mic. Very. It doesn't sound as good. This for some reason. So you can watch the parliamentarians deliberate. I think all fun. Okay, what do you think? Ding, 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 ding. Maybe that'll do it. All right. Where is the audio? There we go. Audio device. Is it on? Okay. Check it back. Tick. Okay, so this is what we got. This is all I got right now. I got the backup mic. It's sorry, the sound isn't as good. What are you going to do? Right? To make sure it's working and it's not roboto like the other one was for some reason. Yeah, all right. Here, I'll put it like that, and I'll get my voice a little bit above it. Okay. All right, folks. Okay. So there we go. This is all we got. The deliberations are going on. Sean Casey is basically saying, I'm going to get decorum back. Greg Fergus, he said that he is going to, he learned a lot of things. I'm just trying to sum up. He learned a lot of things. The Andrew Scheer right there, he was speaker, the youngest speaker of the House. He said things, and he was just basically, hey, he took it on. And he was the biggest against Fergus, who he took pictures with his robe on, and that position is not supposed to be about anything partisan or anything. And they said because he took some pictures and did some partisan things for the Liberal candidates and the party, you know what I mean? He got in some trouble. He had to do some apologies. So they said he was partisan, but he said, hey, I learned some lessons. My first day, you gave me a break. The second day, he had lots to do. They're all saying, oh, decorum. I think what it is you have to fight back. Like in the comments, I'll just deleting someone's comments doesn't make them go away. They're still going on. It's just like, oh, we have to hide everything. It hurts my eyes. Well, you know what? I personally would like to have it's adults. It's an adult room here. It's an adult show. It's no cartoons. Well, sometimes they put some graphics, but It's an adult thing. We should be able to have this stuff, and like I personally think would like to have someone who tries to tone them back with an attack back. Well, they should go to jail. You know what I mean? To bring people all in the fold instead of just ousting people until we have the perfect room of perfect commenters of all these things. But those people have a sentiment. This is what I believe politics is. It's for everybody, not just the perfectly spoken. The people that are parliamentarians, yeah, they should be a little bit more have the couth and stuff like that. But so that was him. Alexandra Mendez, she was fun. I thought she would speak back against some things, and sometimes she would mispronounce a name, and she was like, I think she's naturally funny, because like what would come out of her mouth, like something like that, but she was funny when she did something wrong or something happened, you know, because she was the backup speaker, you know. They don't work all the time. So that I think was pretty. I think she did it pretty good. She just got rid of getting over cancer. She looks healthy. So good for her. She's got some color. You never know, but yeah, I think she's pretty good as a backup or whatever. Especially because I don't know, her health seems to be on. So Sean Casey is you know saying, and then we have Robert Oliphant. Robert Oliphant is a United minister. He's smart. He was an accountant before, but I thought he was a lawyer or something. He's really smart. He seems smart at least. He's a minister and stuff like that. So he I think has a lot of experience to it, and he had a pretty damn good speech. And he's liberal, but I think he gave a damn good speech. And then Francis Scarpaleggia, to be honest, I missed a lot of his speech, but he did say decorum. I did miss a lot of it. I wish I was screwing around with my microphones, right? Donate. Donate to me. You know who I am. If you want me, I can get a new microphone, get some better sound for y'all. Or just continue to... He's a... hey, no bum shots. What the heck was that? Bum shot? You know. There's Oliphant in the center there. He has a few folks, and they're all going up to do their vote. They got their little papers, and you know, we're gonna find out fairly shortly. We're live here. We're live, so I'll put that up. Oh no, not starts in 1 minute. We're live. Do some typing here. Ba-ba-ba-da-ba. Okay, was that water in that glass? Everyone watched that one Cheech and Chong. They're like hanging over, and they got caught in a car. I think they were smoking dope or something. And so they're doing the court the next day after the day in jail. And it's a song. It's a song scene. It's a musical part of it. It's funny as hell. And they're all like hurting and all, you know, discombobulated. And so Chong, or Cheech, the one with the hairier one, he like goes and grabs the water off the judge's thing to give it to his buddy, and his buddy chugs it. He's like, frickin' vodka, and she's all embarrassed. This judge who's sitting up there drinking vodka. So I always make that joke. Is it vodka? Is that vodka there, or is it water? You know. Personally, I'm more of a water drinker, especially these days. I haven't drank it. I don't even know the last time I did vodka. 7 years, maybe? Maybe 5? I don't know. It's vodka man, says Jason Smith. freaking book. You can Google that scene. It's probably on YouTube, that scene. Hilarious scene because it's a song. I don't remember the lyrics very well. Yeah, basically my microphone. I know what needs to happen. I had a power outage, and then what happens? I got a power outage. I believe and then I got to work out the bugs every single time something weird like that happens. I can get it through, but I got to get rid of the stream and do a bunch of stuff. So I got to use my backup mic, and then the other microphone is also worse. So hey, again. Sean Casey was like, I'm going to be he basically said I'm the conservative angle. I'm going to get decorum. Not enough people were kicked out. A lot of people were kicked out, but not enough. I'll kick them all out all the time, which, hey, I think that's cool. As long as it's only for 24 hours and you're not fining them, I think that's all right. Hey, you better apologize. Get out of here. Your decorum isn't right. I think that's cool. It's a way of that MP basically getting off for the day, but also gives them their clip. But it also shows that the House has rules, and you ain't going to get your rules. You ain't going to be able to break the rules constantly without some type of repercussion. And I'm cool with that. I think that's a pretty neat. That's a way. I personally would solve things. I was taught you solve things at the lowest level, and cutting off someone's speech to me is one of the highest levels, one of the higher levels. Charging them in jail is of course the worst, taking their whole freedom. But the speech is the first, and when your job is to talk, I think that's a higher level. So I would personally give them a rebuttal back, like have a bunch of slogans pre-approved ready, and say, hey, no speaking like this, so you can get a laugh out of everybody, so everyone laughs at that MP. That's the best way. You get the group to get, they're not necessarily laughing at the person and laughing at the situation, but the person's ego or whatever you want to call it doesn't feel it that way. They just feel they get laughed at. Just like I know I had some friends, and every time they see me, I had an ear-to-ear grin because I would do silly things. And I was like, they instantly think you're making fun of them. But, they're just like, I'm happy to see you, man. You're fun. Yeah, well, it doesn't look like that way to my ego. So anyway, this is the vote. We got, it looks like there's in the 8, 16. Oh, no, and it goes all the way back there. All right, so we're live. Wait. Oh, maybe I'm sorry. Sorry, I was about a minute behind live, and now it's spinning and spinning and spinning. So we're going to be... There we go. We're live. We are up to the second live. There's Sherry Romanado. It seems that we got the Italian... we got the Italian faction. Sherry Romanado. I missed a bit of her speech as well, but she seems... she wants to have a firm hand. They're all basically saying, okay, it's time for a firm hand. I think, hey, make it saucy, make it fun. It's retail. Question period is retail politics. Question period is not real business because all it is to give people a purview, a window on what's going on in Parliament. And then you go watch the committees, and then you watch outside the other 10 hours or 12 hours of the day, depending on the day. You watch those to see what's really going on. That just gives you a window of what the opposition and the government are focusing on. So they, sometimes they ask a question. An opposition member will ask a question, and the person will stand up and not even answer that question. They'll talk about what they want to talk about that's going on that day that's very important to the party. So, you know what I mean? So it gives us a window. But it's just a street view window. It's supposed to be, I believe, question period is supposed to be sassy. I think that's to get more people in. We have less and less people voting. This time we actually had finally an uptick. Germany had the highest increase. They had like 83 or 84% in Germany in the last election. Now, it's a little bit scary what's going on in Germany. First of all, Germany's rearming. I don't like it. It's not that I don't like it. It's that every time you do something, so I'm training with muscles and stuff like that. Well, I'm going to go to back to bodybuilding and go back to bodybuilding competition. Of course, I got to lose a little bit and cut up, but that's what it leads to. So this is the same thing with the Germans, right? They're rearming their military. Well, they're going to use it. It's going to be used somewhere. You know what I mean? And I kind of like the idea of a peaceful Germany that had a very small military. To be honest, they have a record, right? It's wanted. It's required. Trump is asking for it, and the Americans are saying, "Hey, we can't afford to do the work." You know what I mean? I understand. And then also there's that other far-right party in Germany that's kind of scary. Alice in Wonderland leads it, but they're a populist party. A lot of the things they're saying it sounds like the NDP. They're about the working class, getting jobs back, not having mass immigration to lower wages and stuff like that. Having the working class a decent wage. So, hey, they've got a lot of good points, and that's where the elites are missing it. They're not even talking about the issues that this party's is their bread and butter and potatoes, because it's German, right? Germans are like Irish. They love their freaking potatoes. But hey, it's funny. You can see that the height of some of these people. Hey, there's an NDP. 7 NDPs. 7 NDP members. Okay? And they're not going to get official party status. Pierre seems to be playing nice with... here, I'll make sure my sound's on. Pierre's playing nice with the Prime Minister because the Prime Minister can say, well, we'll hold a by-election when I want to. And it could be next January. He could do it. He could do that to Pierre. So imagine he'll be out for almost a year before he finally comes back. There's a possibility if he wants to. But he said, hey, no, I'll be nice. I'll let them, as soon as they do it, I'll pull it over. I'll let the by-election go. Oh, it paused for a second. I don't know why. See, it's nice to see them all friendly and happy and happy, joy. A little bit. Hey, I think that they should be Canadian amongst each other, but also they need to that 1 hour and then explain to people. See, a lot of people explain to people, hey, this 1 hour is supposed to be a battle. Just like if you ever go in a sport or boxing, soccer's the best. Soccer I like the best because you play soccer, you're rough and you're not so tumble. It's not boxing, but you play hard against that person. At the end, everybody shakes hands and says, good game. And they do that in front of the public, in front of anyone who watches and stuff like that. Because to eliminate the all of that animosity that was created, and the same with boxing. Afterwards, you give one of those. It's cool to do that stuff. I think they should at the end do something that shows the people, hey, we don't really hate them. Just to get the people on the fringe who don't pay attention to it enough. They only watch the retail politics to see, hey, they all don't hate it. You know what I mean? It isn't like that. It isn't like we need to jail. I just seen, jail or hurt or throw pebbles or whatever at these people. They just have different ideas on how to reign the country. And I think it is. Canadian identity is peace. Oh, yeah? Is it? I thought it was ice. It's cold. Cold stuff. Right? If it's cold, it's Canadian. But peace is good. But there has to be our parliamentarians from back in the day were very, very robust debate. You know, it's a lot to take in with someone who just watches the clips, but there'll be others that will be around it that will see, hey, they should. I think that the shaking hands after would be the ideal. It's the quickest, the easiest, the best thing to do. After question period, good game, or whatever they say. You know, good day, whatever. But they should do that to show the retail politics that, show in retail politics that they're not all enemies at the end of the day. It's a little crooked. You know? And that's just, of course it's just my opinion. Because the retail politics isn't, it's very, 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 very necessary. People just, if you don't have a financial interest, it's hard to get into politics. If you don't have a vested interest in, say the housing, or you see a problem and you want it to be fixed, it's hard to pay attention to this stuff. So hey, this gets people involved, and then they can maybe read the new laws that are coming out. And I had a sergeant, or I knew a guy who said to me once, many hands make light work. So that's it. All you got to do is just you have many people, like millions of Canadians, paying attention to a bill and a law and putting their thing for it. Politicians, their job, I think, the best thing a politician does, is their job is to scour all of the stuff that's out there and then come up with the best policy. Right? That's it. They scour the minds of the populace and give the policy. And if you only have 100 people paying attention and they're all rich, wealthy business owners, well, you're only going to get rich, wealthy business owner ideas. If you're getting from all the way through, and you're like, because ideas come from everywhere. We've already known this, right? You can try to stop progress, but you're never too old to keep trying. I think we can go back to a reverted time with the housing and stuff like that, but basically we have a thing. We got some oaths misspelled. Oh, is in pieces. Oh wait, the Canadian identity is in pieces. That's a song, isn't it? Fall to pieces. Don't fall to pieces. I think it's always been in pieces. But Canadian identity is, I think, the only thing we really have in common over any other country is winter, right? And we should have our politicians, in my opinion, celebrating winter more than we celebrate other things, because it's a common, right? And this one person, I remember, it was cold out. It was cold. It was like minus 50. The wind was blowing. I had been working, so it was all sweaty underneath my clothes, so it was extra cold. Got in that elevator, and I'm like, oh, and this little girl was in there, like, I don't know. She was a woman, but little, smaller, and I'm like, oh, it's cold. She's like, builds character. I'm like, yeah, it does. You're right. And then we had a commonality about the minus 50 weather. And 3 provinces are wasping the idea of, there's no separation. Honestly, they did the vote, in the real percentage of the populace is like maybe 20% of Alberta wants it, and it just so happens 20% of Alberta works in the oil and gas industry. And like Gilles Duceppe said, the leader of the Bloc Québécois, oil and gas is not a culture. It isn't. Like it or not, but there should be something to do to help get them to Tidewater, so at least shut that crowd up. They bought the trans one that's going there, but I think Churchill. They got to go to Churchill because it's Manitoba now pumps out oil, Saskatchewan pumps out oil, and Alberta pumps out. There are 3 oil provinces. Let it go to Churchill. If they have a problem with the oil industry or anything, it won't be in those 3 provinces. And then from there, they can exit out. And also, there's 500 megawatts of power that Wab Kinew, the leader of the premier of Manitoba, he says he's available to do some transmission lines up to the Arctic. So at the same time, let's do it. I got a picture here. Not this one, but here we go. Corridor map. So if you can see along this thing, I believe you see the Y on the left, and then it goes right to from like northern Alberta and northern Saskatchewan. I think we should go north. I think we should do this corridor here like that. There's Unicep. And then Churchill being a large port for that port and that road, I think we should be transmission lines and road, everything, the whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle. Pipelines, power lines, communication lines, and roads, and doing a development. It can alleviate the housing and get people up there in a few cities, right? I think it's time to bring our north in, and the best way is to get people. And the easiest way to get people to move to the icy cold is to have cheap housing, right? You're like, oh, you can't afford a house in Niagara because it's $800,000. Well, hey, there's houses cheap up there. It just makes sense, you know. It's how you get people up. It's just kind of, you know, I call it a TP valve, temperature pressure valve. There's a lot of temperature, a lot of pressure and hate against the government because of the policies they've done, and they've done nothing to help it. And this is how you alleviate it. It'd be so simple. It seems to be very difficult, and Churchill could be a small town. It could be a very big city very quickly. A couple spots. And then from there, you can see where the T is kind of in the middle, or J. It goes down to the Ring of Fire, which is all these critical minerals. An asteroid hit the Earth right there, and there's all kinds of critical minerals there, cadmium, cobalt, all kinds of stuff, and then more, that lots. And this Ring of Fire, and the road, there's going to be a dirt road going from the south, but that way is it, and then it goes along, I would say, northern Ontario, just north of Algonquin, and then parallel, and in Quebec.
Order. I would ask honorable members who have not yet voted and wish to do so to please vote now.
If there are any honorable members who have not voted and wish to do so, will they please vote now? The honorable.
I hear you, Megan.
All the members having voted, I do now instruct the clerk to proceed with the counting of the ballots after I have cashed my ballot.
Okay, they're counting the votes. Megan, Zero, yeah, no, it's definitely, we've always had kind of a unity issue with this country because it's such a large country, small populace. It's hard to bridge us together, 40 million people, large distances. So there's always been very radical things. The Alberta thing is, I think, is what it is. They're just tired of being treated, not being the center of attention as they think they should be for a while.
Nous allons procéder au vote. Permettez-moi de vous rappeler.
We will now continue with the vote. I forgot to mention something, especially for new members. When we're elected, we expect a lot of recognition. But we shouldn't get into politics to be recognized. A former premier of Quebec once said to a journalist, if you get into politics to be acknowledged and recognized, that's not a great idea. You might as well just buy a dog who will thank you and be grateful to you. Now, before I suspend the sitting, the bells to call the members back to the House will be sounded, and the sitting is suspended to the call of the chair. We will now count the votes.
Okay. All right. So they're doing the vote. Checking out the vote. Alberta is a colony, but I don't think so. Alberta's no colony. Not even in any shape, way, or form about it. Holy crap! Did they crank the music or what? Turn that stuff down. No, it's not a colony. It's nothing. The territories have. I think that it's time that we bring in these territories. I don't really want it. Whatever. It's time that I think we bring in the territories. Into the fold of province. They have low population. Like Yukon has 50,000 people. That's it. There's 50,000 people in the in the whole Yukon. So like Yellowknife, Whitehorse, Northwest Territories, and none of it. I think the best way to do is we try to bring those cities up, and the easiest way is this. Here, I'm gonna bring up the map. The easiest way is to get this to bring in like this roads, pipelines. Pipelines, I believe only pipelines because oil is 1911 technology. It's dying. It's not increasing. I don't see a reason to have government money into it. But if there's private money that wants to be put into it, okay, And then they have to put money for the cleanup. But pipelines are a safe way of moving the crap. Okay, I'm just gonna eliminate all the. Okay, so there we go. I believe that and you see how it goes. And a road, a major highway, we have the Trans-Canada Highway, which is basically I don't want to say it's on the border. Right, in a lot of ways. So the idea is to bring the Arctic into the fold. We're having push from the states. Let's use this horrible thing that's coming from America to unify the country. And instead of worrying about selling 80% of our steel to America, we should be putting steel, like using this to rebuild the country. And as things get built, people become more positive. The unity comes natural. I was in a couple countries where there was major construction booms, and you never see the people in unison happy like you do there. It works for all levels of people, right? The divine to the grunt, to the labor like me. Everyone's happy and everyone's like, yeah, this is good. So, in my opinion, they can do this by alleviating the pressure. Hey, like the one housing minister says, there's a lot of people that are upset, that will be upset, the investors and the elderly, if their housing prices start dropping. Well, so the government has been hesitant, and people who own houses are the highest voting populace. So the government's been hesitant to fix this, and holy crap. So they got the music crank, like, jeez. The government is hesitant. So the only way to do it is, hey, how about we get people moving up north? Alleviate a whole generation. There's a whole youthful generation that's looking at and if you're don't have wealthy parents, you're looking at never owning a home in your life. This is ridiculous. This country with the largest land mass, 50,000 people in a whole state, in a whole province, like 50,000, and the homes are millions for like an acre. What the hell? It's basically the elites not letting anyone in. And I believe like investor money, outside money versus opening up lands for Canadian citizens. New immigrants, Canadians, as long as you're a Canadian citizen, opening up lands at a different price point. If you're an investor, you pay these price points. But they should be opening up lands, getting people up to the north, building this road bridge of the north. Because our technology back, I don't know, everyone had a cottage in the 70s. You go cottage in the 70s, geez, it was cold in those damn places. Windy and stuff like that. You look at the new cottages that are building, and they're literally cottages for people. They're like super modern. You can heat the place up with a candle. Very well done. Our technologies have increased. So I believe that it's easier to live up in the north. We should be opening it up, tying our country, weaving our country together, in my opinion here. And a large road that traverses the northern route. So a northern route to go atop of Algonquin. And then if you see that line where it follows in Quebec, it follows the St. Lawrence Seaway. And there's like a bunch of parks along that in Quebec that basically is a perfect line. Northern parks, and have them on the northern highway is perfect. And there's a lot of development in that area, and reserves that don't have roads, all kinds of great stuff that would be helped to be alleviated with power. I know that they're talking about well, maybe it's all going to be satellites, but we are going to need landlines as well. Little infrastructure, satellites. There could be potential they can click. And then along New Brunswick, along the coast to Nova Scotia, and then I think doing a T in Nova Scotia. They have a lot of oil and stuff like that, and going to the States because we could sell our hydropower to the States, and then up to Newfoundland on the Port of Basque side because I like that side better, and then up to Churchill and Labrador. A lot of hydro dams, lot of hydropower in that Lester, and this is the one thing. I'm not a green priest, but green power. I invested a lot of research time as a layman, and I looked at power. Okay, power in 50 years. In 50 years time, 50, like guaranteed, 100%. We're all fusion. It's done. Like oil will be zero by then in 50 years. There's no way, because fusion. When we have nuclear, what we call nuclear now, it explodes, it destroys, right? And think of it like this: how many people are at a divorce? How many people go visit a divorce, right? But there's power there. If you go near someone who's in a divorce, you can feel the power. How many people are at a wedding? Well, that's what fusion is. Bringing two elements together, and it's way more power. And it's exactly that. Visualize that. And there's way more power in this. It's like, and there's this east-west thing. China and France have these reactors that are, they've got it. About 20 minutes. France has the last one. They had it going for about 20 minutes. And it's the hottest and the coldest place in the universe. So you can imagine. That's what they have to do. This is the whole. I can go on hours and hours about fusion, but it's super amount of power. They're like, whoa, like everyone who's looks into it has any idea about it. It is the way. And once they figure it out, so we're talking 50. They think 50 years time. This has been 80 years in the works, right? So 50 years time. Once we get this these reactors going. I can give you more links if you want to talk about it. I doubt you do. All of our other sources of power, they're going to be like, why? Okay. But the reason I like hydro is it's the rain. It's you know what I mean? And it's very low maintenance to run. Nuclear, it's high maintenance. First of all, you got to buy the stuff. And if you only have that source of power, there's nothing wrong, right? If you have other sources, whatever. But there's a lot of inputs, and then you got to get rid of the fuel, and it lasts, I don't know, about 20 million years. So you have that continued maintenance cost of the spent fuel rods, right? You got to put it somewhere, and hope that the government spends the money 100 years from now to keep it contained, or else you have, right? But there's the input, the output, and then just keeping that thing going. We all know what happened in Chernobyl and New York, right? There's been accidents, right? Hiroshima, Japan, they had an earthquake. So there's costs, and people don't, you know what I mean? We're all like, oh, nuclear. Well, nuclear, if you don't have hydro. Once you build hydro, it's just the cost of rain. It's pretty low cost for rain, and we have a lot of technology that beats everybody. So I believe, in my personal opinion, hey, why don't we have the government build the hydro, because even when fusion is in, because the cost of keeping a hydro dam is so low, it'll be comparable, right? It won't put out near as much power. Like one plant, they're saying one plant will power all of France. One fusion plant power the whole country. Possibly one plant would power all of Europe. That's what they're saying. That's how much power out of one plant. So the numbers are just astronomical, right? That's what I mean. It's over all of these other things. So if you have a business case for a 40 or 50 year nuclear plant, and that's that's kind of silly. It may be quicker than that, but 50 years it'll be built. They'll be able to build these things. So I basically Japan explosive was not a fusion. No, there's no fusion. No, there is no fusion. There's no fusion. It's the fusion. They exploded it. That's the old one. Tritium. Hydrogen is a step. With all the industrialists, like in Germany is the industrialist country of Europe. It's part of the reason why they're the leader of economically. And the industrialists got together and they all basically knocked their heads together and they said what they want. They told the government was that hydrogen will provide them with enough power and enough flexibility to give them what they're going to need in the next 50 years. Because they're even saying 50 years it's over. Fusion, we know it. It's not like 80 years they've been working on this. They already know it. They're already actually got it going for 20 minutes, or like they've figured it out. This is the way to get the power. And so they said basically the transition is hydrogen, because they can put hydrogen power plants in the middle of a town and there's no side effects. There's no problems that are very harmful to the community. Fission. Yeah, fission. Yeah. Fusion, fission. Oh, we got someone's like Googling it. I looked it up, and basically, this is where we're at. So hydrogen is going to be the way, and then they're saying, well, let's have green powers. Hydro is it. Now, hydro works well, because hydro is a one thing. It doesn't. They don't even know. The fission. There's a new system that has nothing to do with tritium. But basically, what the thing is they're saying is that hydro. We have the rivers. We block the rivers. We get a little thing. It's very low environmental cost. It makes sense. But there's no lobbyists. I don't think there's any lobbyists, except some green priest who are asking for hydrogen. But there's a huge lobby for oil and gas, huge lobby for nuclear. So this is the biggest problem, and politicians are lobbied. And fusion, it's not even happening here. It's France and in China. We don't even have we're not going to have the tech. Most likely, it'll be. We're going to be playing, catch-up chips. And no, that's not 100%. 100%. And you're just pulling up lines. I think you read it from. But basically. Green power of exothermic reaction. No. All right. Yeah, and there's no referendum. There's no nothing. Actually, the referendum won't even happen about no. The provinces are not leaving. There's no chance in it. What's this stop line? Oh. No, the two reactors that are happening, east and west. There's two of them, and we're not building it. It's in France, and sorry. Oh yeah, uranium. Yeah, we have technology, uranium. You're right. We have lots of uranium. There's Saskatchewan selling it. No problem there. I'm talking about building it today. You're talking about the can-do reactor, and the can-do reactor has been great, except for that one town called Port Hope, who's had a little bit of a problem with it. These mini small reactors is the new way, and now we're going to rely on commercial companies to handle something with huge potential. Where the government screws up, but the government usually tries their best, at least waste money to make things right, and they've had problems. So that's why I'm always very leery about it. We're waiting on this stuff. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that stuff. My opinion is that the government needs to stop giving money to places, to power sources that really are not 50 years' time. We have to look at a 50-year time scale. And hydro, right, just rivers, water flowing, is really the one that will be able to compete. Wind maybe, but it won't, because wind it won't last that long. These wind plants don't last 50 years. They just, But we have lots of hydro we could do. There's like Ontario, Manitoba, British Columbia, Quebec, Labrador, and things. They already have projects. Each province's power already has power plants ready to go, like approved, environmental, and they're like, the plan's there. We just need the money. So to me personally, it's like, why don't we use that first? And then after that's done, it's like, okay, what are we going to... I'm not against oil and gas, or I'm against it. I'm just talking about, why don't we use the best first? And then once that's out, right? Let's eat the steak. And then we'll eat those potatoes, right? The fried potato chips. Like, that has potential for disaster, has all kinds of input costs, output costs, all that stuff. Wind power it works for a thing, but the problem with wind power is it isn't maintenance, and a lot of the technology is not even coming from here. So we're basically giving another country. I just think hydro. We haven't had a problem with hydro yet. The first time we was close to a problem was the Three Gorges Dam in China, and we don't have the water fluctuations as China does. As the warmer climate has larger water fluctuations. Whatever, and there was problems. They were worried that the dam was going to burst. It didn't. It was okay, and so we don't have the level of potential of problems. We have a 100-year rain cycle, but it doesn't vary as much as it does in warmer climate. And the closest one's the largest dam in the world, China. They said the dam had actually altered by very, very minuscule the rotation of the Earth. It's so big. But they almost had a problem. Everyone was worried, but they figured it out because there's so much water. They had it figured out before any major problems happened. It's just a worry. So hey, we don't have that level of problem. We have these pre-approved projects. We have a problem with selling our steel and our power. In the States, we need more power, they say, for these AI. Well, 1 + 1 + 1 + 1. There's no minuses in there, right? This is my big selling. You missed the two jokes. I did see that, yeah. So solar, yeah, up in the Arctic maybe. They got 24 hours daylight sometimes, right? I'm still waiting on them to tabulate the votes. So I'm just a big advocate of common sense, and the way I see of common sense is that you use the easiest, cleanest, best power, cheapest input, cheapest output before you go on to the others. France has all kinds of nuclear power because they don't have rivers. They don't have rivers that will make much power. The CN. Excuse me. We got all kinds of rivers and no people on them, and like the borders of a river and stuff like that. We're talking expanding a couple 100 meters. We're not talking like thousands of kilometers of you know what I mean. We're decent. That's decent. It takes a will, and it takes a large planning and basically a government or government/investment to put it into it. And like I said, it's my thing in power. We're still waiting on the vote again. And up there in the Arctic is what's happening right now is and they have all these little towns along the Hudson Bay, and then they curl a bunch of inlets and stuff. These towns literally have they have to use gas, oil, and diesel to power generate, and it's big. First of all, maintenance problems. You got maintenance problems. It's cost. They got they have like weather sometimes that lasts like a month, like weather, a month of weather. That planes have like hours or two to fly in, and it's like, I swear to God, people are like watching the weather. It's like panic time because they're going to run out of diesel. Every single town, it's like the talk, because the unreliability of being able to fly stuff in and fly, and if you don't have big enough storage to do a whole year, so this is a big problem. And Manitoba. Wab Kinew, the premier of the NDP, said, "Hey, we have 500 megawatts that they were selling in Minnesota, that million megawatts that they're going to make available, and so that transmission line could go up to the north to all these little towns, and at the same time weave the country together, right? Make the country, better for the people up there, but also I think Yukon, Churchill I believe we should try to be making Churchill into a city, helping Yellowknife and Whitehorse expand to big cities to alleviate the pressure of basically housing. Right, we can do it with a few towns. At the same time, we already know that the natural resource development is going to be up there. So if you're living in Whitehorse or you're living in Yellowknife or whatever, what have you, you're more likely to be like, yeah, okay, I'll go to Resolute Bay or wherever to go work at that mining place. You're already climatized. It's easier. It's easier for folks. Instead of someone who's like, Niagara Falls, and they're less likely to want to do that stuff. But basically, I believe that it's going to be up the north. We already know it. So I think the government should be, for once, not follow what we already know is going to happen, but once be a leader. I hope that Mark Carney is that leader. And I don't mean putting towns and having rural everywhere. No, like build the cities up there. Build the big meat markets of Churchill, Whitehorse, Yellowknife, right? Churchill, the other Churchill in Labrador, building Labrador City, and northern places in Quebec, Abitibi, in northern Quebec, Ontario having the Ring of Fire towns, at least in those other Abitibi, grow that to a city, have an actual town, 40, 50,000 in the Ring of Fire area. The American Air Force has already invested into that area, and there's all kinds of money already to go there. They're going to have problems getting people to go there. They have a town there. There you go. You got decent, difficult to build roads on this muskeg, but we can do it. This is my thinking. It's the only way. The only way to pivot is to, and it'll have to take a major amount of debt. A major amount of debt to build these things. But at the same time, once you start building it, Dubai knows this, okay? Dubai started building these big projects, and now it has the most amount of millionaires going to that country. Then they're number one. Like I said, they're number one. Amount of people going there with money, with investment, is going there. Why? Because the government decided, hey, we're going to, instead of allowing, we're going to take some of this profit from our natural resources and build beautiful, wonderful projects. And investment follows that. It's in the news all the time. Dubai is this tiny little country. The United Arab Emirates Emirate is think of it as a province or a state, Emirate. And Dubai is just one of seven. I think seven. And we only hear about Dubai, but Dubai isn't it had pearls. They sold pearls out of their little harbor there. There's no oil there. It's Abu Dhabi, which is the neighboring, where the oil money is. There's real money there, and they built into and they're one beautiful place. There's bird sanctuaries, beautiful, and so they did that. They developed that area as a playground, but the real money and the real industry is Fallujah and all the way around. And so it created a buzz. And now the country has a secondary. They don't even make most of their money from oil and gas anymore. That's according to something I read. I didn't double, triple verify it. But if it's not more, it's getting close. That most of the money is not in what it started in. And that's what we should in Canada. Take our natural resource money, and instead of giving more kickbacks to companies and, you know what I mean, SO or whatever, going by Canada, invest in Canadians' projects, and the world will focus on it. I think we got it. If you go to anywhere in the world, everyone looks at Canada as a big, beautiful, wonderful place. All you gotta do is just put pictures of projects. I can't believe this vote is taking so long. I'm gonna look at your comments. Ooh, wow, Megan. Are you upset, Megan? Are you having a good day? Uh-oh. Oh yeah. All right. I believe this corridor is just the greatest thing. Okay, I'm neither in Yellowknife or Whitehorse, just rainbow color town of Montreal, insufferable. Okay. Using what? People? Oh, using solar. No. No, they need batteries on top of it. They know this already. We need batteries to. There's natural storage and stuff like that for on and offload times. I know. So the thing is really with my problem with solar and wind is that a lot of it is basically we got to buy it from China. In Germany, and the German wealthy class, basically they had this program. Ontario did it as well. A bunch of other places in the States. But they took government money and they gave it to companies to develop the green industry. Germany right now was supposed to have the biggest green industry in the world. That was going to be their replacement to cars, the auto industry. And what really happened was people who own these companies, right, Germans, wealthy people, they invented the products there, and then they packed all of that money and all of that know-how, and they do it in China. It's gone. They stopped the program. It's done. I'm not going to talk about it, but glass. They said they used all was it 60% of the glass from the high rise and stuff like that in Germany were to be used for photovoltaic, for absorbing power. They would have enough power to power Germany if they were to just do that. But the technology stopped because basically they built what they learned in China, and then the money stopped because the government's like, wait a second, we're not giving you all these companies money so they can take the knowledge and know-how that they learn from government money and to ship it off to China. So they stopped the programs, and Germany has no green industry. It's all China now. So my problem with wind and solar is that we're buying it from another country, and we're supporting another country to do it, while we literally have the leading technology. There was a spy, the latest spy that we had from corporate espionage was in Quebec at a hydro plant, at a water hydro power plant. Because we have technology, they're trying to steal our technology. They got 3 gorgeous dams, but we have the technology a little bit more advanced. And so I just, makes sense there. Why build things to benefit another country? And we know they won't last the 50 years. Yeah, fission. There's all kinds of going on with the fission. I should Google it. The company, I can't remember the name right now. It's a Latin word, damn it. What is it, Megan? What's that Latin word? Tokamak is the name of the project. Oh, I guess, yeah. Just sounds Native American name, eh? It's beautiful. Yeah, if you look it up, tokamak, and all the countries in the world are there. Fusion. They have scientists from China, from Germany, from France, from Russia that are basically doing it. And where the hell is the project? What's the name of it? It's in here somewhere. The fusion test reactor. There's another. It's in France anyway. I'm not going to go into it. It's going to take me a while. But that's basically where we're having it now. ITER. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I've been talking about other things. Yeah, ITER. ITER. It's Latin. I'm doing three things here, man. Give me your crap. But it's ITER. Yeah. And obviously you're in front of it. Oh, we're gonna go to Latin here. Journey. That's stupid. Anyway, so yeah, ITER is the one thing. It's nice. East and West. There's one in ITER is the company, the project name. But the tokamak has stopped. It's France and China that are competing right now, and France was winning. They have 20 minutes of going, and the other one does. It's the future. There's hands down. It's going to produce enough power. Like I said, enough power to power Europe. So we're not, it's no contest. We have 50 years. We got 50 years of our power generation that are basically oil and gas will probably be still used. Hey, we're going to want plastics, but it's seeing its last days. As hydrogen is starting to come in now. Hydrogen is very isolated. It's not going to be in cars. I don't think so in cars because the safety issue of a hydrogen tank is expensive thus far. So with BMW going hydrogen, yeah, it's great, but most likely it's just going to be electric cars because they're good enough. BYD. I can't believe I'm like I'm waiting for this damn vote. BYD's cars, they got a $10,000 car with 500 kilometers. Now they're having reject that. $10,000 car goes 500 kilometers. It's enough. It's enough for 90% of people. 80% we'll say. 80% of people they already have a cheap car. And now, yes, they have to save our industry because a Chinese plan would have destroyed our car industry in a matter of months. In 3 months, it could have been destroyed. Because except Ford, because they're on the stock market, their stocks would plummet so much it would have been very, very, very disastrous to this country. So they had to stop it to save it. So we're basically at the point where our politicians are lowering the accessibility of technologies, cheaper technologies that are coming from China to save oil and gas in our old industries. We're at that point. We're in a few more years, there's going to be a large gap, right? If we continue on that path. China will be having, if everyone remembers the Nintendo days with Japan, happened with Japan before they destroyed that industry, their economy. All the video games, electronics, the best stuff was in Japan, right? It's most likely going to be that way with China, except it's going to be with the big stuff, not just like Memorex and cameras and stuff like that. It's going to be planes, trains, and automobiles are going to be from there, and we're going to be hoping they come here. Basically, we'll be the second world. to the first world, which is China. Unless we actually we do have a lot of high tech technologies, but we have to be able to do it at scale for the regular people. ITA is ITA is the company making it. The goal of ITER is to achieve fusion power production at power plant scale, breaking new ground in fusion science and demonstrating fusion technology. It is an international nuclear fusion research and engineering megaproject aimed at creating energy through a fusion process similar to that of the sun. It is being built next to the Cadre facility in southern France. The other one in Tokamak, 1997, I think they stopped at. This one is in St. Paul-les-Durance. Oh, St. Paul, eh? But it's internet. Here we go. Membership: the EU, UK, Switzerland, China, Japan, South Korea, Russia, United States. Partners: Canada, Australia, Kazakhstan, and Thailand. ITER.org. You can go check it out. It's the way. They're basically, they said the time. I'm giving a skip. The timeline of like optimistic people are saying 30 years. They're saying 30 years are going to have it. And I'm saying it'll be 20 years for the process of permitting and allowing it to be built. So in 50 years, they're going to be built, right? 30 years, they're most likely they're going to have. And that's if AI, once we have AI, click on it because it's research. Research is going to go at warp speed, I believe, and we're not going to be able to stop the progress. It's going to, and most likely, it's going to happen faster than that because we're not compensating. You can just create PhDs by the millions, in a factory, right? So most likely, it'll happening a lot faster than that. But 50 years, it'll be said and done, like no other power. That's my point of it. I'm sorry that this is taking so long for them to tabulate the votes, and I'm trying to see how many people are here. My just true belief is that in Canada we need to get a 50-year plan, or else we're going to be third world. In 50 years, we're going to be third world. And hey, it'll be pretty damn comfortable to be living like this. But the future of living on Mars and having the, expanding out is not going to be here. It's going to be everywhere else. We're going to be third world. And there's no reason for it. My opinion is we should open up our north in the last gambit of the old technologies, like the old technologies of oil and gas, of fiber optics, of roads. Roads will not be needed once we have flying cars, right? You build a high-rise in the middle of the country. I seen them in Croatia. They were also cooling towers, right? Cooling silos. But it was beautiful. Like there's people that some of them weren't. They'd have like a beautiful high-rise in the middle of the country. So there's like a road, just a nice like regular long winding driveway surrounded by sometimes farmland, sometimes just natural beauty, but it was a high rise, so a lot of people living in this beautiful, wonderful high rise in the middle of the country. You get the best of both worlds. I think that's great. That's most likely will happen. We have flying cars, right? Just you don't need to fly there. You need a road. So I really honestly am. Maybe they're doing a recount. They're going to do a recount. Okay, so it's just you and me, Megan. Advancement compared to Tokamak. Yeah, it's way better. Okay, ITER is the name of the Tokamak in France. There is another fusion technology from USA. Yeah, that's the other one. With a pellet bombarded, the sort of beam. That's the Chicago one you're talking about, right? With a sort of beam undergoing fusion by itself and generating a flash of huge energy. That one has made very little. advancements compared to tokamaks. Yeah, this one they've got it. The ITER is they're literally got it for 20 minutes. They're there. In my opinion, it's there. They've figured out the cooling. They've made it stable. They didn't blow up the whole part of the world. This is super duper power. Like I said, it's the sun. We already know it's the way, right? The most in our sky, the most powerful thing in our sky is fusion, and it's the sun. And we just once we figure it out, it's gonna be awesome. As long as we don't burn up the whole Earth, it'll be good. And it's it's coming. Waiting for the vote. Would you like to see the vote? Yeah, we can go on power talk all day long. 343 members, all right? In Parliament nowadays, 343. The Liberal has 170. The Conservative has 144. Bloc Québécois, 22. Ooh, magic number. NDP, 7. Magic number. Green Party, 1. Magic number. So the Liberals, they need a couple people from the, basically Elizabeth May said she'll be effectively a Liberal. Elizabeth May and the Green Party, they're in trouble. The fella, her co-pilot, resigned again, and he resigned. So it's just Elizabeth May once again. The Green Party has a place. I think they just I don't agree with how they were getting to that place. In my opinion, I think they should. I have a whole idea for how to get the Greens and the NDP as well. I think that both of those parties should be a lot larger in Canada because there's a voting bloc that's ready to vote for them, but the parties are not offering what they should be offering, in my opinion, to get those people to vote. We have 68% of people vote. We can get that up to 80. You get that extra 20, 15%, so no change in any other party. We could get that to 80, 90% even, because the people I'm talking about are the people that aren't voting, the Greens and the NDP. They could pick up those votes, but by getting these people to vote, but they have to change. You got to remember that it's an elite business, or it has been an elite business, politics. So you mean master's degree, you've went to university. But it's becoming a working class business because as working class, we've realized, oh no, when we don't pay attention to politics, once again, right? When we don't pay attention to our politics, bad things happen to us, right? They just like anybody, they work for the people who they're talking to, and if they're only talking to the wealthy, the business class, and this and that, then that's who they're going to be working for, right? That's who rubs off. What else you got to say about power? Megan, 168. No, I don't know. I think that's the number. Was it 168? That's what the number is on the official documents. Maybe it needs to be updated. I think they updated it. Official parliamentarians. Oh, fuck. I guess I gotta go with it. Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, look at that. 169 from the House of Canada. Comments. I was just. Oh, this is the official Wikipedia. Wikipedia has updated, but the House of Commons official has not. Or maybe it has. I don't know.
It's close. They only need a few. So they get one from the Greens. They can get a couple from the NDP. At least a couple from the NDP. Every vote, no problem. The Bloc Québécois, these votes are all still happening. It's the official. 170. 144. 22 for the Bloc. You said, yeah, most likely that. I'll just go with the 170 because this is their official numbers right now. If it changes in a couple of days, it's one or two. Basically, the bottom line is they got one from the Greens. They need a couple, 2, 3, whatever from the NDP. So they don't even need all of them, right? For every vote, they're most likely going to get it every single time. And some of their things that they're putting forward, they're going to get conservatives to vote for it. Especially that, I don't know, most likely the conservatives won't vote against everything, right? They won't vote directly against everything as like a combative measure. So, at least for amount of time. And still the vote. I can't believe how long this vote has taken. You're going to double check it? Oh, yeah. They're being counted. Okay, so the election of the Speaker. I had something pretty neat. I want to do a set, but I should talk, at least while I'm waiting. And tomorrow the king is speaking. The King's doing his tour right now. I guess I could Google over to that and see what's happened there. If we got any King moments. Is the King walking around, talking? The NDP are going to have some things. CRTC is doing their hearings. 1:15, King Charles and crew to arrive. The King Charles III and Queen Camilla arrive in Canada at 1:15 p.m. today. So that'll be happening a couple hours from now. Couple hours, we're going to have the King and Queen, which is a nice visit. There's some like businesses, like when the Queen came, some places where the Queen went, and they like have the pictures on the wall. It's like, and we're talking like it was decades. I went to one place; it was like decades. I'm not going to say the place. It was great little hotel. I loved the fireplace. Oh, it was so nice. Sit by the fire. I had a really good conversation with a highly wealthy individual. You could tell, right? He was a big guy, man, like a giant. But anyway, the fireplace. Sitting there, and this old school fire. And then when she went there, and there was a picture of her visiting, and it's basically, it was their memento for 20, 30 years, because we don't get them come here much. So it was pretty cool. It's pretty neat. I think they should do that, visit hotels and places and do their tour. Costs money for us, but businesses make good money on it a long time, and I thought it was nice and quaint. It was like, nice, the room. Like, I never heard about her visiting this hotel. It wasn't a thing, but it was a big deal to that place, and it made that room nice, right? Especially by the fireplace, sipping on our thing. Still waiting. Sean Casey, Craig Fergus, Alexandra Mendez, Robert Oliphant. I think Robert Oliphant's going to win. Sherry Romanado and Francis Scarpaleggia. I missed a bit of Francis's speech. Maybe I could redo it.
Actually, we can do that. I think that's a good idea. While we wait, I'm going to put on their speech again. Do like a replay. I can go freshen up my coffee. And then I'll... Oh, that's the vote. Jeez. Okay, here we go. Sean Casey. Seems to be like... I thought Sean Casey was... He's liberal, too? Holy crap. All right. I'll go... All right.
Mr. C. Sean. Sean Casey, a member of Charlottetown, to address the House for not more than 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I would first like to acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin people who have lived here for millennia. We acknowledge the lasting presence of Indigenous peoples, First Nations, Inuit, and Métis on this territory.
Parliament and the Office of the Speaker have declined at an accelerating pace over the last decade. From 2003 to 2017, not a single member of Parliament was asked to withdraw for disregarding the authority of the Speaker. Compare that to the last 8 years, where 9 members have been kicked out of the chamber for violating the rules of debate, refusing to withdraw in parliamentary language, failing to apologize for their conduct, and defying the Speaker. I have witnessed almost all of these incidents, and frankly, there should have been more expulsions. What's worse is that this lack of respect for Parliament has actually been used as ammunition to raise funds. Sadly, this demonstrates the current state of decorum. It is not okay. That, Mr. Speaker, is why I stand before you to offer my candidacy for the office of Speaker. And I do so with some degree of optimism. Seuls les députés peuvent restaurer le respect.
Only members of Parliament can restore and rebuild trust in our institutions. About 1/3 of members here are new to the House. I don't think any of them campaigned on a promise to shout the most in the House or promising to insult other members of Parliament, and especially not to insult the Speaker, him or herself. They were elected because they promised to represent their constituents here with dignity and hard work, and to focus on constituents rather than on their next Instagram video. We members of Parliament have a significant role to play in restoring trust in this House and in the Speakership.
Members in wanting a reset. After thousands of interactions with constituents during the course of the campaign, I can't imagine that anyone held up the current state of civility in Parliament with pride. We owe Canadians a genuine effort to raise the bar in how we treat each other. A new session with so many new faces offers a fresh start and a real chance to lead by example. If you agree that the conditions and the timing are right to make a meaningful change, then I offer my experience and approach to lead that reset. Avant d'entrer en politique, j'étais avocat.
Before I got into politics, I was a lawyer and a business person. I had to respect the administration of justice and the
Okay. All right. I don't know what's going on there. Of course. Always something with parliamentary.
I had to respect the opposing bench. I also had to vigorously defend my client. Those were part and parcel of my duties as a lawyer. I had to follow rules of procedure, which was essential to be efficient. That allowed me to build values of equity, structure, and impartiality, which are qualities essential to being Speaker. I was elected to Parliament for the first time in 2011. I was one of just a few new members in the party. I was re-elected in 2015 and appointed Parliamentary Secretary to 3 different ministers. More recently, I presided over a standing committee. At age 48, I committed to becoming bilingual and achieved a C level. I'm very proud of that accomplishment.
I've served with 4 different speakers and have learned what works and what doesn't. First, it is vitally important for the speaker to set the tone early and rigorously. A collegial approach, cajoling repeat offenders, has proven ineffective. The current state of debate requires the consistent application of progressive discipline. I offer the experience, the tone, and the temperament to deliver exactly that. I would be honored with your support to lead a collective effort to rebuild respect in Parliament. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
J'invite maintenant Monsieur.
I now ask Mr. Greg Fergus, the Honourable Member for Hull Aylmer, to address the House for not more than 5 minutes.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I'd like to recognise that we are on the unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people. Since time immemorial, Indigenous peoples have met here to exchange, to share, and to collaborate. That is what Canadians expect from us here in the House of Commons. Today, a similar spirit assembles us. Some of us for the first time, some since 1984. I was elected Speaker in the second half of a minority parliament. When I was elected, I promised to be a collaborative and well-thought Speaker, a Speaker that would serve all parliamentarians.
Tempers ran high and cooperation was low. It was in that context that I learned the ropes of the job, often getting it right, and when I didn't, putting in place measures to continually improve. To be frank, it would have been a difficult time for anyone in that role. We find ourselves in a new minority parliament. A new parliament is a new beginning, but we don't have to start at the beginning. Although I continue to stand by my values for mutual respect between members, the business of Parliament must get done. With transparency, with integrity, with accountability, and without gamesmanship. This is what Canadians expect from us. At my first question period, I asked you to treat me like a new car. Try not to get a dent on me on the first day. Well, I got one day. There are now a couple of dents, but I'm still running. I'm now a reliable car with experience. And that's how I learned what all speakers eventually discover. You don't become speaker by just putting on the robes. You learn the role through experience. Les habits ne fait pas le président.
It's not just the gown that makes you speaker. You become a speaker with experience. That experience I've already obtained, and now I want to implement it for this 45th legislature. Presiding over debates in this House is the most visible part of the role. However, the Speaker also has a very important diplomatic role to play.
Canada needs friendships around the world. From the early days of my speakership, I insisted that Canada show our solidarity with Ukraine, and I'm proud to have organized an all-party parliamentary mission to Ukraine. During the long train ride into Ukraine under the cover of darkness, with the protection of the Canadian Armed Forces, seated with my colleagues from the Conservatives, the Bloc, the NDP, and the Liberals, working together, we developed lasting friendships with Ukrainians and strengthened their network of support in their time of need.
Throughout the world, I have forged strong ties of friendship to put forward our Parliament's interests. This experience will serve for the success of the Speakers G7 meeting that will happen later this summer. Another role of the Speaker happens here. As the CEO of about 2,500 members of staff, I support the services that support your rights and privileges as parliamentarians.
Money was well spent. We took steps never taken before. We started a new audit process. We implemented robust new security measures in and around Parliament Hill, in your constituencies, at your offices, and at your home. And we did this so that you and your family can feel safe while you do your job. C'est riche de cette expérience.
It's with this wealth of experience that I ask for your support for my re-election. I gained the experience necessary to implement changes that are essential starting today.
Dense, but it also has character. The engine is strong, and I know the road. Allons-y, let's go together. Merci beaucoup. Be blessed.
That's the fella. The former speaker. And, okay, there we go. We're back to good. Looking for what happened. Oh, the UK. Yeah, I think he's doing a good job. The king has a bunch of towns, places he, Poundbury, Google Poundbury. He's a king who's looking with 70 years ahead. Instead of, 10 years or 3 years or just the commercial interest of 5 years. It's to me, it's a different animal of having a king's long view. And I agree with the Poundbury. Just Google the Poundbury. It's just a beautiful town where people who are the waiter staff to the high aristocrats in the town have a place, and a place designated, for them to live, and the policing and having the center of town where the big parks are. Whereas here in Canada, it's like the wealthy neighborhoods have the park, and no one goes to those parks, right? It doesn't make sense to have these big, beautiful parks where people have like huge lawns, right? My opinion. I think he did a great idea there. It's just my opinion. And in 3 minutes, time. Okay, so here we go.
And I know the road. Allons-y.
Thank you.
Brief and to the point. And like other colleagues, I did not spend the last few days on emails or phone calls asking for your support. Mostly because, as you may know, some of you may know anyways, I was diagnosed with cancer at the end of January, and I have been undergoing intense treatment ever since. Thanks to a phenomenal team and the many volunteers who raised their hand to help me through the campaign, I find myself representing the citizens of Brossard-St-Lambert once more, and I couldn't be more grateful. After a successful re-election, I wanted to ensure my health situation would allow me to stand for this role. I spent many hours reflecting on my next steps, both from a personal and professional level. I do wish to take this moment to thank many of you in this chamber who sent me messages of encouragement in the past weeks and months. From text messages to phone calls and emails, your heartfelt words meant a great deal to me during these challenging times. La vie sans équivoque.
The unequivocal advice from my oncologist has led me to believe that I can safely consider serving you as speaker. I have the experience of 5 years as assistant vice speaker, have taught me indeed what it takes to ensure an environment of respectful debate of ideas and adherence to our standing orders as agreed upon over the course of legislatures. I'm not here in opposition to anyone. I'm here because I have some convictions that I believe will provide another way of approaching the responsibilities we all have as parliamentarians.
I have never been a parliamentary secretary, nor a minister, nor held any government role. I have been a privileged backbencher, but a backbencher nonetheless. Nous sommes 330.
All right, that's enough of that beeping. You can listen to it in the background. The vote is over. They've tabulated the results. The MPs are wandering the halls. Eating lunch, maybe, just like I did. Yeah. Back to it. The results. I can't believe they're beeping so much. Oh, I'm on Top Shot. Oh, I may have missed a couple people. There we go. Here we go. Stop the beeping.
À l'ordre, j'ai
Order.
devoir d'informer la Chambre
It is my duty to inform the House that a Speaker has been duly elected.
in the name of the successful candidate. I wish to explain how the next few minutes will unfold. Une fois le résultat déjà annoncé,
Once the result has been announced, I will call on the elected Speaker to walk to the bar at the back of the House of Commons. Next, the Right Honourable Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition will escort the newly elected Speaker from the bar up to here. Then the Speaker will take their seat. Now, why do we have this procedure? Well, a long, long time ago, when the king was unhappy with a speaker's ruling, the speaker's head was cut off. This is why we have our tradition of the speaker pretending to refuse the speakership, and the speaker will be dragged from the bar up to the speaker's chair.
mon devoir est long. It is my duty in inform the House that the honorable member for, il est maintenant de mon devoir d'informer la Chambre que l'honorable
It is now my duty to inform the House that it is the member for Lac Saint-Louis.
There you go. Gabriele. All right. He's the leader. Okay. I honestly thought it was going to be Oliphant, but no. I missed part of his speech, to be honest. I wish I would have, you know. What do you do? Just playing around with this microphone. So he won. Ooh, excuse me. I just really ate a sandwich really fast. Yeah, so there we go. That is what we have today. So we have a speaker. He's going to go back. He's going to go send back, and then the leader of the opposition, which is Andrew Scheer right now, and Andrew Scheer, and oh, someone's phone's ringing. Not mine. There we go. Look at and Mark Carney. He's doing a good job fighting him. Look at him. He's fighting him pretty good. I don't want to do it. He's doing his speech. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, I think he did a pretty good job. I guess I'm sorry I'm looking to the side, but there's only three of us, so quit your whining. We got an older gentleman. I'm happy about that.
Oh, someone's calling order. We will have order. All right, let's listen to the man.
Honorable members, I beg to return my humble acknowledgments to the House for the great honor you have been pleased to confer upon me by choosing me to be your Speaker.
Je vous remercie très sincèrement.
I sincerely thank you for placing your trust and confidence in me. First, on behalf of everyone, I wish to thank the Dean of the House of Commons, the member for Bécancour Nicolet Sorel, Aldobac.
Pour son savoir.
I thank the Dean for his know-how and savvy, for his sense of humor, and for his wealth of experience in Parliament. I'd also like to thank all candidates who put their name forward in today's vote. I commend them on their inspiring speeches today.
Special mention and thank you for the member of Hull Aylmer, who took the reins of the speakership at a difficult moment. At the end of a mandate, when things tend to get a little feistier, I would remind members that we are at the beginning of a mandate in the selfish hope that you will afford me a little grace period. Once again, thank you for your confidence. I have few words because, well, we all have things we want to accomplish, and we've been away. Thank you, colleagues.
I like the speech. It was good. Francis, not Francis d'Assisi, as my favorite prayer, has been Francis Scarpaleggia. It's a fun name to say. So it's Scar, not Scarface, Scar, Pale, Gia. Scarpaleggia. 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 It just sounds better when you say it with this. I don't have, obviously, an Italian accent or Latin or anything, but it's just more fun to say. Scarpaleggia. Scarpaleggia. Gia. Right? Anyway, so that was very silly of me. I think it was pretty good, and he said in the selfish. He's hoping that because it's a new mandate, in the selfish request or hope that the parliamentarians will be nice to him. I think they are going to be nice to him because the Conservatives will be humbled. They're going to be toned down because Andrew Scheer, they're almost leaderless. Andrew Scheer's their leader, but I don't think he's going to be as bold. I think he's going to be more, humbled, I think, right? And then if it were Pierre, automatically, I think it worked out for the calmness of it. The NDP are definitely not going to be, they're not going to get as many questions in there. And the 7 they have are they're the strong 7. Elizabeth May basically said, "Hey, I'll go red, right? Red, green." So I think we are going to have a less feisty, but they're all going to cheer. I think the cheering and the roar and the uproar is going to be just as loud as you can see. They're all on uproar, and this is great. This makes it better. The people in the stands are supposed to be quiet; they're not supposed to speak. But the ministers of parliament, the MPs, they're allowed to scream and yell. Well, they get it. Now we're going to see how well or how much he tones that down. Or I have a feeling he's going to be more relaxed, and I think he's one that will give a good, He will give you a right back at you, right? I think he's quick-witted in that type of speech, right? Sassafras type of speech. I think we're going to have fun with Francis Assisi. I mean, Scarpleggia. I don't mean that in any bad way. This is great. I think he's good. Okay, and any comments? Tomorrow the King. And I like the King, personally, Poundbury. I think that the King coming is a great thing. I think that we have a great thing coming. He's a part of our government. I would be inviting him every time, every Crown speech, at least, the first speech, right? Personally. Because there's about 15, maybe it's smaller now, but about 15% of the population loves Canada, pays their taxes, and thinks great of the country because of the King, right? This pomp and ceremony on the other 15%, it doesn't work on them. But there's 15% of the population that works great on them. They're like, you know what, I love this country because I watched a ceremony, right? This is the easiest way to reign or rule the people into the peaceful populace is just through a ceremony, right? It's the easiest way. It doesn't work on everyone, but it does. I think it calms the bridges of our divide of Parliament more than anything. I know the French are not into. I'm not English, right? So I'm no tie to the United Kingdom, but I do think in Canada, being a Canadian, it's important the King. I do. I think so. I'd like him to come more. Like I said, I think every time there's a throne speech, he should be doing it. Not everyone, but you know what I mean, like the big ones, right? Like a newly elected government. I think they should be invited at least. It's just do a little tour, make a little fun, shake some hands. There's some people that get all starstruck. It's good. These are good things, I believe. But we have Francis Scarpleggia, and I think he's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun, and it's going to be a ruckus in a good way. What do you think? And that's it for you and me. And, let's see if there's anything else. I think that's all they're doing. He did a nice short speech because I don't think he is, I don't want to say arrogant.
We all have,
but he's
House first time that we are at the beginning of a mandate. In the cell, all have things.
All right, now here we have the Prime Minister speaking. All right, we're going to look at this crowd thingy. The scepter. Because the king is in the house.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
C'est pas correct, hein? Okay. Merci beaucoup. Merci tout le monde.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Rise in this House for the first time. I hope you will permit me to thank my constituents in Nepean for the great honor of being a member of this community. And I'd like to thank Canadians, Mr. Speaker, for the trust that they've put in this government, but in all members of this great House. Hear, hear. Votre élection.
Your election shows the respect that people have in you here in the House of Commons. For over 20 years, you have served the people of Lac-Saint-Louis with devotion, with wisdom, and with heart, and with dignity as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, Mr. Speaker, I have much to learn from the members of this great House. I will make mistakes. I have no doubt that you will call them out for good reason. Because this House has rules, it has traditions, and it's on those traditions that our Athenian democracy is founded. Yes, we are Athens. They are Rome. On va triompher.
We will prevail. We're in the golden age of Athens.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You have my support.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
First of all, Mr. Speaker, a huge congratulations to you. You've gotten the support of this House to manage this House for the next months, years. Who knows? We'll see.
Indulge myself to take this opportunity to thank the voters of Regina Capel and indeed our spouses. I'd like to thank my wife Jill for the sacrifice that she and my family make, as do all our spouses and significant others. You have just taken charge of an office that is almost as old as Parliament itself. It emerged in the Middle Ages when the Commons needed a spokesman to air its grievances to the King. A task that probably wouldn't stand up to the safe workplace guidelines that exist today. And as we heard from our Dean, until the 17th century, the Speaker's loyalty was to the Crown rather than to MPs, and they were often blamed if they delivered bad news to the monarch. 7 speakers were beheaded between 1394 and 1535, and many more were imprisoned. Managing monarchs was a delicate undertaking. One speaker, John Wenlock, during the War of the Roses, when no one could be sure who would end up as king, he tried to hedge his bets by fighting for both the York family and the Lancastrians. It didn't work out too well for him, though. He died at the Battle of Tewkesbury. But of course, he wasn't the last politician to try to be on both sides of a contentious issue. I dare say we may find some Liberal MPs voting for things that they were very recently voting against. Gradually, the Speaker's role became one of representing Parliament rather than the monarch, and it wasn't until the Victorian era that impartiality of the Speaker became the norm. Now, it might no longer be a requirement to stand up to kings and queens, but you may find yourself having to stand up to other offices of authority, and if such a moment presents itself, we trust you will stand with those speakers who came before you, who defended this institution on behalf of the people. As I look back over the last few parliaments, we did have some trying times. We witnessed injuries from flying elbows, F-bombs dropped, and a few appearances of one member in a state of undress. I did hear that CPAC was considering putting a warning on the daily broadcast, may contain violence, coarse language, and nudity, but so far they haven't had to do that. The speakership itself has been tested, with, unfortunately, some speakers caught in the middle of scandals themselves.
I have heard it said that it's all gone downhill since the last time a Conservative was elected Speaker, but I couldn't possibly comment on that. In all seriousness, though, Mr. Speaker, you are not the Commissioner of Parliament, you are the servant of the House, and that is an important dynamic. You are held accountable by the members, and each of us are accountable to our voters. Debates should be passionate. They should be lively. The lives of Canadians are changed by the decisions we make, and so it is normal that members get enthusiastic and fiery. When the stakes are so high, often the best thing you can do is allow the players to play a little bit. This is where the government is held to account. They have an enormous amount of power, and we, parliamentarians, must provide ruthless scrutiny on every dollar taken out of their pockets, every infringement on their liberties, and every single decision this government makes. Of course, every parliament has its own unique challenges and messy moments, but as Winston Churchill said, democracy is the worst form of government, except for all the others that have been tried. Monsieur le Président,
Mr. Speaker, you have our support for your speakership.
Our support and our best wishes for your speakership over this parliament. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Member for Bailleul-Chambly. Mr. Speaker and esteemed colleagues, I would be remiss not to note that I'm slightly further away from you than I used to be, which will force us to be as courteous as possible while still increasing the volume of our voice. It'll show that when it's time for action, numbers don't mean anything. I would like to congratulate the new Speaker on our behalf. I would also like to thank voters who took part in this democratic exercise in my riding of Bailleul-Chambly or throughout Quebec or throughout the rest of Canada. I would like to note that the Prime Minister made reference to Athenian institutions and that the leader of the official opposition spoke a lot about the monarch. I thought it was going to be the opposite, to be honest. Perhaps we'll talk about it tomorrow. In any case, I would like to share my wishes to this House. We have work to do, and we hope it will be serious work under our new Speaker, a Parliament where I would like to have a bit more of a collegial approach. It will be good for us. It will be good for all members to do so. An approach that would be eminently responsible and accountable. I would like to ask all colleagues, new colleagues and old, to be the best that they can be, to compel us in my party to be as good as we can be. Of course, we'll come back upon our priorities in the next few days. You know our priorities. I want us to think in particular about the importance and the privilege of being in a democracy, because we need, I believe, to rebuild enthusiasm in amongst our voters so that they can go vote in the future for something that they want because of their enthusiasm and hope, and so they wouldn't have in the future to vote because of fear. And I think that we can do so, because in the last few minutes and in the last few weeks, I had the opportunity to talk to a number of you, colleagues, and I've already felt, especially through brief conversations with the Prime Minister and Conservative colleagues, I've felt that we do have the opportunity to have a different, renewed collaboration, which seems to be the only path towards a renewed respect that voters have in us, because they chose for us to be here. And I hope that we will be pleased and happy to undertake this privileged work. And you, Mr. Speaker, are the guarantor of that. Congratulations once again.
The honourable member for Vancouver Kingsway.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Monsieur le Président, on behalf of the New Democratic Party of Canada, I wish to offer our most sincere congratulations on your election as Speaker of the House of Commons. Je tiens à vous adresser nos...
I would like to address our deepest congratulations for your election as Speaker of this House of Commons.
Thank all those who ran for this position and congratulate all returning and newly elected members of Parliament. We have a privileged position in this House. And the role of the Speaker is foundational to the functioning of our parliamentary democracy. As the impartial guardian of this House, the Speaker ensures that debate is conducted with decorum, that all voices are heard, and that the rules of Parliament are upheld with fairness and integrity. In a time when public trust in democratic institutions is being tested around the world, the Speaker's duty is to foster respectful dialogue and uphold the dignity of this House, and that has never been more important. I think we all know that Canadians are facing some of the most difficult times in recent memory. An entrenched housing crisis, rising economic uncertainty, and widespread difficulty accessing timely health care are putting immense pressures on families and communities across this country. And in addition to these challenges, we now face unprecedented threats to our independence and a trade war from the administration south of the border. Now, despite these daunting circumstances, Canadians have responded with resilience, compassion, and unity. They have demonstrated what it means to come together in times of adversity. I think there's a lesson there for all of us. In keeping with the Athenian imagery, I would say this House should have more Plato and less mediocrities. So may this House draw inspiration from Canadians' examples. While we may hold very different views on how best to address these pressing issues, we must not lose sight of our shared responsibility to work together in common purpose to defend the best interests of our country and the welfare of our citizens. Canadian voters have once again elected a minority parliament, a clear mandate for cooperation rather than constant conflict. They have asked us to listen to one another, to find common ground, and to deliver real solutions. No party holds a monopoly on good ideas, and no government is entitled to a blank check. So let us honor the trust Canadians have placed in us by rising to this moment and working together to build a more just, secure, and hopeful future for us all. Monsieur le Président, I am confident,
Mr. Speaker,
with wisdom, impartiality, and a steady hand. Canada's New Democrats extend our support and best wishes as you embark on this important chapter of public service. Les néo-démocrates du Canada.
The New Democrats of Canada support you and wish you the best as you start this important chapter of your public service. Thank you very much.
Well, that was pretty good. I think that was a pretty good speech, a very more unifying one. Now we got the Greens. Uh-oh.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and congratulations to everyone, and especially the new MPs.
To congratulate our new Speaker and to congratulate all the members elected in this place, whether for the first or for our Dean of the House, the 13th time. Congratulations again to every member here. I reflect on what it was like when I witnessed the first Speaker election when I was first elected, and we elected the honourable member for Regina Capel. And I'll never forget, the leader of the official opposition stood on that occasion. I commend this to you, official opposition. The official leader of the official opposition, the late Jack Layton, said, "We pledge never to heckle." And that was a wonderful moment. I stood on behalf of the entire Green Caucus, as I do today, and pledge again never to heckle and to do everything possible, Mr. Speaker, to make your work in protecting our
No heckle
rights
fish?
and ensuring the effective and efficient and honorable conduct of this place such that there will be no need for warnings on CPAC or any other network. Again,
one thing I got to note is that Elizabeth May, she definitely has been an MP for quite some time, and it shows she's done a lot of speaking, because when she speaks, I got to turn the volume way down. She's got a powerful, a very loud voice. I don't think she always had. I think over time it has increased in its volume. To the point of she could probably sing a little bit of opera, not soprano, but a little bit of opera. She's got the lungs for it from yelling in Parliament, of course. And now she's talking about no heckles. There's got to be heckles, because I'll tell you, the White Files just aren't as fun without the heckle fish, especially that I can't say, but. Definitely the heckling will happen. But hey, the most likely the heckling will be toned down at first, because, they haven't done much. But as there's like mistakes, errors, especially the small ones, the small gaffes, those things get the heckles more, right? Not the hackles, the heckles up, more than, what I mean? The small things that are like, that's more jovial. More people will get into the jovial aspect of heckling than they will into the real nitty-gritty, the tough stuff, like real heavy scandals and stuff. Right, Elizabeth May.
To everyone here, let's try our very best. I pause briefly to congratulate the Prime Minister on his maiden speech, and again congratulate him for brevity. We look forward to more speeches from our Prime Minister, from the leaders of the official oppositions, and from parties, whether recognized or unrecognized. We are all here for the same reason. We work for Canada, we work for our constituents, and with your wise counsel, Mr. Speaker, we will work hard to make this a parliament that Canadians can be justifiably proud of Canadian democracy.
Well, that's it. We got Francis. Oh, here it is.
I understand that there is an agreement to observe a moment of silence following the tragic event that occurred on April 26, 2025 at the Lapu Lapu Festival in Vancouver, British Columbia. I now invite